Hi everybody, this is Miss Jennifer with ForKids, and look what I have today. This is an art kit put together by the Chrysler Museum right here in Norfolk, and they gifted the ForKids organization one of these for each of our students. So I'm super excited to make this video showing you how I recommend going about completing this art project. It's based on this beautiful silk robe, and let's go ahead and unpack our box and see what we have inside. I'm going to lift you up a little bit here, and if you got this box, great. If not, you can go to the Chrysler and purchase one, or you may be able to get it from their website. It's called Chrysler To Go, and this is the Chinese silk robe embroidery. Okay, so when you open up your box, you're going to see that you have some embroidery string, an embroidery hoop, pencil, directions, and your burlap with a needle. Now the needle is a little bit big. If you prefer a smaller needle, you have one sitting around, maybe you have a grandmother or something that sews at home, you can use a smaller needle. But we'll go ahead and get started with what we have. Now, I made my first one and I did not love it. I had trouble. I'm not very good at sewing. So I thought, what can I do to make this a little bit easier for the kids to follow? So what I'm going to say is, first of all, let's take a look at this silk robe. Look at this. It's really beautiful, and if you get a chance, you can go to the Chrysler and see it. And this is from the late 19th century in China, and this would have been woven and then embroidered with silk. Now, the colors on the robe identified where you were in the emperor's, either you were the emperor, the emperor's family, or maybe you were in the lower court. Here's a close-up of the dragon. Look at him. Isn't he cool? Now, the dragon with 5 claws represented the emperor himself. And a lot of the designs were for good luck. Now, I thought this was really beautiful. This is some close-ups. So you could see that kind of water motif, which is very popular to this day. All right. So please, if you get a chance, go check out the robe at the museum, and it was the inspiration for this lesson. So here's what I recommend. For each one of these, we are going to match it up with a color. So this is what I came up with. And now I have my colors. I'm going to go ahead and make my design. And if we follow the instructions, you just need a 5x5 square paper. And they just get started right away. But I like to design mine, especially if you're not that good at sewing. So I'm going to take this circle and just put it on a white piece of paper. It doesn't have to be a small one like this. And I'm going to draw around on the inside. Now that means the inside is where your picture is going to be. So there you go. That's my picture plane. Those of you working with me know that we usually talk in those terms. Now, we have to pick a letter. And in the Chrysler, let's see, here's their example. It's really pretty. And you see what they have done is they've turned the line of the C into a shape. In other words, here's a C, and that's a line. Here's a C, that's a shape. So I didn't do that on my first one. I forgot. So I thought we better work it out together. I did a J, which was a little bit hard because it's not symmetrical. So I thought for the purposes of this, it might be nice to come up with something that's a little bit easier. Now, somewhere I had my design. I don't know where it went. So we'll just have to, oh, here it is. So this is the second one I came up with, and I like this a lot better. So having done the stitches, I felt like this would be an easier way for me to go. But I'll do it again with a different design. Now, if we're going to use a letter, now let's say I use a Z. Now that is a line. To turn the Z into a shape, I could lightly go around it like this. So I just lightly draw around the Z. And then I can erase the Z, and I have what the kids call bubble letter. So that's one way of doing it. You could also do it like this, where you just kind of turn it into a shape like that. Or if you're good at this, you can just do it without drawing it first. It depends on your skill level. So that's 3 different ways of coming up with your letter. And I think I am going to stick with the Z just because it's different. Now, you don't want to take up the whole space because you do want to be able to put some of these. We have 3 stitches, and we want to put some of these leaf shapes, the feather shape, and the letter. So I would say about this size is the size you want your letter. So I'm going to just go ahead and draw my Z right in here. And this is just a sketch to help me know what I'm going to do once I go in. Now I'm going to design. So if I have some leaf shapes, where do I want to put them? Well, maybe let's try something different. Let me try 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then I could do the feather right here and right here. Because the feather, I tried to do the feather stitch going in a circle, and I didn't have too much luck. But like again, I said, I'm not good at this. So I think it's better if you just do it straight out like that. So there we go. Now I'm going to grab some color. And what do you think is my brightest color? Or what do I want my central color to be? Probably this. So when you are going to be sewing, you're going to sew the outline of your letter like this. And maybe I'm going to use this color for my leaves. And I will use this color for my feather. Now, what you can also do is if you want to get more involved, you could go ahead and say, I want to repeat that orange. I could, end up going around the whole outside of my shape. And then there you have a nice design. So that's how I recommend moving forward. And let's go ahead and get started. So the directions tell us what we have to do is unscrew this. And that's, I forgot, it's not that easy. Oops. Okay, let me stop real quick. Okay, now I'm back. So what you want to do, if it's too tight for you to undo with your fingers, you can do it two different ways. You can hold on to this with a tool like a little pliers and unscrew it this way. Or you can hold on to this and unscrew it this way. And all we have to do is unscrew it until it's loose enough for this to pop out. Okay, I just noticed it was a little bit tight. My hands are a little bit worse for the wear after all these years of making art, so it was a little bit tough for me. Now we're going to set that down, put this on top, try to center it as best you can, and then you pop that in the middle. Now you do want it to be tight. So if it won't go in, that just means you have to loosen this up some more. Now once you have that, you want to tighten it up if you need, so that it won't come apart. Now, like I say, you may be able to do this without using a tool, but it was better for me to have the tool. I'm going to make it tight again. It doesn't have to be too tight, just so it doesn't fall apart. Now, I'm going to draw my design. So, I remember that my Z is going to go like this. And really, I probably should have drawn this before I put it on the hoop here, but that's okay. Now, where's my Z that I'm copying? Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to have my leaves up here. And it doesn't, you don't want this to be too dark because, you know, you're going to try to cover them up, but they may show. So you just want to do it kind of light. And then I'm just going to draw a line right here, and we will do our stitching from there. Now I'm ready to begin. Let me zoom in on that so you can see. My design is ready to go. Now, when you go to take these, it is pretty simple. I like to just pull all this off. And a lot of people who do a lot of sewing out, you can use these. You're going to have a lot left over. So you can use them to do more embroidery with, or you could do some friendship bracelets, whatever you want. So the tricky part is finding the end. Now watch what I do. Now I like to go 1 arm length. 1, 2. 2 arm lengths before I cut and tie. So I'm going to give it a cut. Now, luckily, these needles are good. Little children can use them. But they do make a big hole in the burlap. So it's good, but it does have some problems. So if you end up wanting to use a smaller needle, then if you have one, great. But the good thing about this is you can't really hurt yourself with it. It's not sharp. And it will work just fine for the purposes that we're using. Now, a lot of people don't know how to sew. So you double it up. You put it through. Double it. Okay? Now, once you do that, you're going to, this is how I do it. I take the 2 pieces, I wrap them around my finger, and then I pull this through. It's just like a knot that you would make tying your shoes. But you're going to have to make a couple of these because otherwise it will go through that hole in the burlap. So I'm going to make 3 just to make sure because I don't want to pull the thread through. Bam! There we go. Now the first stitch, let me make sure I'm saying this right, is a, what does she call it? A stem stitch. Okay, so I'm going to start right here. So I'm going to come up because I have my knot on the bottom. So I'm going to come up to this corner with my needle. And I'll pull it all the way until I get to that, till it's the knot catches. Now I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch right along the line that I drew. And I'm just going to pull it all the way. Now, once you get that, now it's very important that you don't do like I just did and get it tangled. Boom. All right, so now you're going to come up halfway in between that line you just made. See, halfway. And you pull through. And then you go another 1/2 inch forward. And then you come a 1/2 inch backwards. Right to the middle of what you just did. And you're just going to keep doing that and follow the line all the way around. So it's pretty simple. Now here, I'm just going to go ahead and move here. And come up there. Okay, halfway. Oops. All right. Here we go. I'm going to try to move quickly here so you can get the idea. And remember, you will probably be much better at this than I am because it's really not, I can sew, but I'm not that good at it. Some people really love it, and actually these types of art making is very popular at this time. Mostly, it used to be only a woman's art form, but now it's very popular, and you can find all kinds of artwork made with this. And I've seen some amazing contemporary art made with embroidery and that type of thing. So you just kind of have to work your way around these corners the best you can while remembering to go forward and then come back. Now this is something that happens if you're not careful. I'm standing up doing this, so it's better if you just sit down, relax, kind of take your time. Let's take a look at the back. That's what the back looks like. And continue with your forward and your backward stitch. Now the backs do not show. Now a real embroiderer will have a very neat back to theirs. I just know this because I know people who embroider and do that type of thing. But we're not too worried about that for us because we're just beginners. And we are just going to keep moving here. I'm going to try to, I'll probably speed this video up so you don't have to sit here and watch me keep sewing. But there are lots of YouTube videos on how to make these stitches. If you have difficulties, you can always look it up. And the instructions are quite good also. And the truth is, as long as it comes out looking like a Z, or your letter, whatever it is, then you're fine. And in truth, it will be quite lovely with the colors and the embroidery. So just do the best you can. And just remember, you can always use your extra string to make something else. You could do a design on your shirt, on your pants pocket, on your book bag. So be experimental. Once you come up with a design you like and you've got the practice under your belt, then you can go ahead and try something new. We'll see if mine looks like a Z. I'm almost finished. All right, it's not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right, I love it. Now, imagine how hard it is to do that beautiful silk robe we saw. Very hard, right? And here will be my final stitch. Boom. And I have my Z. Now, if you're a real embroiderer and you want to, looks like I need to pull this tighter here. Let me see if I can. Okay, there you go. There's my Z. And it is time to go to the next spot. Now, I'm going to tie this off by just making a loop, putting my thing through it, and then pulling it down and tie it off. Cut it off. Boom. Now, the next color I'm going to use is my green. And we will go ahead and begin with that. Now, this time I'm going to try to pull it this way. I'm just going to pull it out. It still came apart. So 1, 2. Any longer than an arm's length is going to be difficult to work with. You can always start again. Now, I don't know if I showed you this. When you go to thread it, you got to put it right in that hole. Pull. And remember, we want to double it like this. So we're going to bring these together. We're going to loop it and then pull that through. You see? 1. Now there's lots of other ways of doing it, but that's the easiest way for me. Okay. Now, compared to what we just did, this is a lot easier. So all we're going to do is we're going to come up at the base of our leaf, and we're going to drape that around where we want it to be. See? That's just draped with my finger. Now I'm going to hold it, and I'm going to go right back next to the where I came out. I'm going to go back in. Pull it all the way. Now I'm going to come up here at the top, and I'm just going to go up. See how it pulls it tight? Pull it tight. And not too tight though. Now I'm going to go back down on the other side of the loop. And there you go. You have your leaf. Now the closer you can get these two, the better. Now I'm going to try it again. I'm going to come, I don't have to start over. I'm going to come here. I'm going to make my leaf, my loop with my hand. And I will go back down. Oops, sorry. You see? Now I'm going to come back up right through the center there. You see? Up we go. Pull tight. And then right down on the other side of that to tack it down. Bam! Okay, it's starting to look good, right? Now I got to do the same thing over here. I'm going to come up. Create my leaf shape, come down, try to get close to that first one. Now don't feel bad if you mess up. Guess what? All you got to do is just pull it out and start over, because it's not going to hurt the burlap at all. Come out and go in. There we go. Okay, so you can shape it a little bit so it looks like the leaves that you want. And now I'm just going to flip on down here to the bottom, and I'm going to do the same thing. And I might just go ahead and speed this up. We'll see. Let's see. Out here, shape the leaf. We'll see how long this whole thing takes. Go down. Now, you don't have to do 3 leaves. You can do as many as you want. It's totally up to you. Now, maybe I'll make this one a little bit longer, since it looks like I made more room up here, down here. And in all honesty, it'd be great for you to experiment creating different designs after you do this, because you're learning a new skill, and you can practice doing all kinds of things. And once you do it a few times, it gets a lot easier. See how much easier it is for me already? All right, so I come out, shape my leaf, go in, right next to where I came out. Now, you don't want to pull too tight because, oops, see, now I got to be careful because I got it trapped on here. This is why I'm not good at this, because I'm a little bit clumsy. Okay. But I can draw really good. Okay, let's see. There we go. So you don't want to pull it all the way tight like you did before, because you got to keep it there. And then you come out and go over the end. And now you pull it tight. Does that make sense? Okay, there you go. And you can, manipulate it a little bit to get it how you want it to look. And then one more, and we'll be finished with this part. This is the fun part to me. I like this one. I like doing this stitch because you can kind of shape it with your hands. And I'm good at that sometimes. Like with clay or anything else, I like shaping things with my hands. That's why they don't work that good anymore. Okay, here we are. Now, I'm going to pull this down a little bit. And there we go. So I have my Z, and I have my, now I can do the same thing as I did before, is just make a knot and pull it downwards. They don't really say how to tie it off, but that's, so if you don't tie it off, it's going to be okay. I would just leave like a long thread so it doesn't pull through. Now the last one is going to be this color. Now this one is a little bit harder. So again, we're going to do 1 arm length, 2 arm lengths. Boom. Cut the thread. And we will put it through here. Now we have machines today that can do this, and they did have looms back then, which if you've ever done any weaving, you would understand about a loom. But for the most part, those designs were stitched onto that cloth probably with this embroidering technique that we are using right here. Now, okay, now we are going to roll with this feather stitch. So we have our triple knot tied in our string, and we have our line going straight up here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come from the back and go up into that line that we've created, and then I'm going to go 1/2 inch to the right in a parallel way. So 1/2 inch over, same line on the cloth there. And I'm going to make a U. All right, so here's my U. Now I'm going to come up in the middle of the U a 1/2 inch up. So you see, it's a 1/2 inch up in the middle of the U. And then I'll pull tight. And remember, we got to make sure we pull both sides tight. Okay? Now, you don't want to do too tight because then you pull the burlap like this. Now, feel free to try this on any other material at a future time. Okay, so I'm going to come over a 1/2 inch this way. So I went to the right, now I'm going to go to the left. So I'm going to parallel that line right there, and in you go. Now this is the hardest one really to me. I don't know, you might not think so. Now I'm going to make sure my U is a U, and I will come up through the U like this. Make sure you pull both sides. And now I will go 1/2 inch this way. Making sure I leave my U. Oh, sorry, got off camera there for a minute. And I come up through the U. Now I go 1/2 inch this way. It starts looking like the bone stitch pretty quickly, but if it doesn't quite at first, it's okay. Come up through the middle of the U. And that's going to be it because I've got to the end. And there is my feather stitch. So I'm just going to go back down. And then I'm going to come across to the other side without changing anything. And we'll try it again. And I'm going to go directly across from this one, from behind. So in I go. And this time I'm going to go to the left, 1/2 inch. In the middle, a 1/2 inch up. Making sure I pull my double strings. I don't know why it keeps snagging like that. And then 1/2 inch over to the left. 1/2 inch up in the middle. There we go. And 1/2 inch parallel on the other side. And now I'm going to come 1/2 inch up in the middle, and that's going to be the end. Now, you can get better, the instructions on the, from the Chrysler are probably maybe clearer to you, but I just thought I'd give it a show of how I did it. And then I'm just going to block that there. And here we have my little Z. At this point, I'm going to flip it. Now you see it's kind of messy on this side, but that doesn't matter because no one's going to see that side. And I will do that little knot, cut my string, and undo my embroidery hoop. It's easy to do now that we got it going. It's not brand new. And there you have it. That is my Z design for my embroidered Chrysler To Go. I hope you enjoyed the lesson. If you have any questions or comments, I will put my email in the show notes, and happy to help you in any way. Have a great day. Bye.